This is my Mother's Day visit to my son Marco's grave in Mount Tamalpais Cemetery in San Rafael, California. My son died from schizophrenia 3 years ago. This film is about schizophrenia and the impact it has on families and the young people who have this disease. Families with members or children with schizophrenia are forced to make a succession of rapid-fire decisions for which they have neither information nor guidance from psychiatrists or anyone else. Decisions such as whether to hospitalize your child, whether to go on antipsychotics, to go on disability, when to call 911, and how to know if your child is suicidal. This happened to me when my 20-year-old son suddenly showed signs of psychotic disturbance. He arrived at my house in a highly agitated state, saying, "I tried to break up with her. I tried to break up with her." 2 weeks later, he had his first psychotic breakdown and was diagnosed by Amen Clinic as having schizoaffective disorder. It was only much later and after his suicide that I realized how isolated he was and debilitated from the terrible side effects of the antipsychotic drugs he was on. He managed to complete 1 quarter at UCLA with straight A's, but then was hospitalized and left unable to continue with either education or work. He lied to us, reassuring us that everything was okay. Marco's tragic suicide was a catalyst for me to study and learn about a surgical treatment on the adrenal medulla for schizophrenia called BEAM. This treatment has been done successfully on 100 patients and eliminated the symptoms of schizophrenia and restored lives worth living. Before Marco's death, he left us with this inspiring poem. Its message provided the real motivation for this film.
I think things are worth doing because they are difficult. We do things not to achieve something on the outside, but to develop something on the inside. We must push our boundaries of what we know or don't know about the world and ourselves. I may not have achieved much at the time of death, but I have at least lived a life worth living. Schizophrenia is a mental disorder that affects about 1% of the world's population. In other words, 1 out of 100 people are affected by schizophrenia. This disease is considered to be incurable, but treatable with antipsychotic drugs. The current method of treatment in the United States is referred to as medication management by the American Psychiatric Association. Newer treatment programs for patients with first-time psychotic episode include talk therapy and working collaboratively with the patient to select medications based on side effects and other compromises. According to the New York State Mental Health Department, about 75% of young adults newly diagnosed with schizophrenia stop taking the medications within the first year and 1/2 of treatment. This leads to recurring relapses and hospitalizations. Schizophrenia is a mental disorder which alters the way a person perceives this world or its aspects, making it difficult for the person who has the disease to have a clear understanding of reality, and causes a reduced ability to function normally. For example, the person may neglect personal hygiene or appear to lack emotion, doesn't make eye contact, doesn't change facial expressions, or speaks in a monotone. The person may have lost interest in everyday activities, withdraw socially, or lack the ability to experience pleasure. Schizophrenia can affect a person's perceptions to such an extent that it leads to false beliefs, hallucinations, auditory misconceptions, anger, frustration, confusion, disturbed thoughts, inaction, extreme emotional disturbances, increasing social interaction, and biased sense perception. Schizophrenia, tragically, most commonly occurs in adolescence between the ages of 17 and 25, but its symptoms can first appear in puberty, around the age of 14 and as late as 30. In Western countries, persons with schizophrenia are put on a lifetime regime of antipsychotic drugs, which often have damaging cerebral and other effects, leading to a lifetime pattern of chronic disease and recurring hospitalizations. Schizophrenia is a disease located in the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis, HPTA, located in the brainstem. The HPTA axis is formed by three hormones: glucagon, cortisol, and adrenaline. But in the schizophrenic patient, this hormonal axis is failing to arrive, and this develops metabolic problems and energy problems inside the neuron. In other words, a series of factors causing intercerebral communication disorders between the thalamus and the cortex occur, and that is the schizophrenic process. The Beam team of doctors saw that the only hormone that could be eliminated without damaging the suprarenal gland was adrenaline, and this could be done by opening the adrenal medulla gland and electrocoagulating the tissue that produces the adrenaline, 20% of non-adrenaline, and some of the dopamine. This is a film about doctors who have held to the difficult, overcome many obstacles, and discovered a solution for schizophrenia after 30 years of self-funded research. This film shares their story and the stories of their patients who no longer have schizophrenia and have lives worth living. Dr. Jose Mackliff, Ecuadorian psychiatrist and researcher, has had a successful career of 41 years of research and practice of internal medicine and psychiatry. He is the sole author of BEAM, bilateral electrocoagulation of adrenal medulla, the only method capable of regulating brain dopamine. This regulation eradicates aggressiveness in the human being and has been highly successful in the treatment of schizophrenia. Mackliff began his lifetime of observations as the schizophrenia ward director of Sala San Jose at the Lorenzo Ponce Hospital from 1970 to 1986. It was there that Dr. Mackliff watched his patients daily for 13 years as they never improved and only grew more apathetic and stressed by additional chronic diseases with each year. His experience of the notorious failure of antipsychotics inevitably gravitated to his work as a psychiatrist. Although he could have felt disheartened by treating patients with schizophrenia, he instead felt stimulated by the various metabolic and autonomic questions that arose about the disease. Mackliff's research grew over 30 years, culminating with the first BEAM surgery done on a patient in 2006. Since that time, BEAM has become a pioneer surgery for both schizophrenia and Parkinson's disease, unifying the effects of surgery and the action of antipsychotics, and creating a new psychiatry for the 21st century. Mackliff encourages other psychiatrists and researchers from around the world to further develop his studies, increasing the knowledge base and number of case studies necessary to formalize this valuable research. Dr. Mackliff's accomplishments include conference presenter at the Second World Congress of Neurosciences BIT NeuroTalk in Dalian, China in May 2011. Conference presenter at the 2015 World Congress of Neurosciences BIT NeuroTalk in Hangzhou, China, on BEAM and a case study presentation of Sergio. In 2018, Dr. Mackliff will again present BEAM and several recent case studies at the 2018 World Congress NeuroTalk. Author of Schizophrenia and Parkinson's Surgery, a new and efficient regulation of dopaminergic synapses after BEAM, 2017, available in English on Amazon.com. Along with being an internationally recognized scientist and compassionate doctor, Jose Mackliff is a deeply religious man. He has stated that it is only through his faith in God and his love for his schizophrenic patients that he has been able to do the long, self-funded scientific research and overcome the many obstacles that have led to the development and patenting of BEAM. BEAM, or bilateral electrocoagulation of adrenal medulla, is a surgery performed on the adrenal medulla gland that reduces and eliminates the symptoms of schizophrenia and Parkinson's disease. In the next video, Dr. Mackliff explains how BEAM surgery works and the biochemical processes that occur after the surgery. Our organism has two adrenal generators, the main one and a secondary one. The main source of adrenaline production is located in the lower back, in the adrenal glands, on top of the kidneys. This adrenaline factory normally produces adrenaline for our organism that acts as a hormone, which puts us in a state of alertness. It regulates glucose, being its main source. Here various substances converge, such as tyrosine, L-dopa, dopamine, noradrenaline, and as a final product, adrenaline. However, in patients diagnosed with schizophrenia, this amount of adrenaline is released in a delayed fashion, causing daily decreased levels of glycemia, causing attacks of uncontrollable anger, hallucinations, and highly aggressive behavior. This surgical procedure, invented by Dr. Mackliff, makes it possible to regulate cerebral dopamine in schizophrenics. When beam surgery is done, the brain takes over as the supplier of L-dopa, dopamine, and minimal amounts of adrenaline because it is not designed to be a neurotransmitter. I have to say, this operation is not life-threatening. There are no side effects. It is a surgery that eliminates adrenaline, but this does not affect the organic system at any time. In fact, we have patients that show no other symptoms. The patient case study interviews were filmed by Dr. Mackliff in the Pan American Clinic and in his office in Guayaquil, Ecuador, between the years 2007 and 2017.
Hoy 29 de mayo de 2017 estamos aquí en mi oficina profesional, un día antes de la operación que vamos a practicar en nuestro paciente Carlos. Carlos tiene 26 años y es un paciente con esquizofrenia crónica paranoide de 8 años de evolución. Es un caso muy serio en que ha habido un gran deterioro del pensamiento, del contenido del pensamiento, hay bloqueo del pensamiento, hay robo del pensamiento por otras personas, hay personas que son enemigas, es decir, toda la estructura de una esquizofrenia paranoide. Que este proceso ha llevado a Carlos a un deterioro muy severo. Bueno, aquí estamos con Carlos, con Ruth y con Eduardo, que son los padres de Carlos, nuestro paciente.
¿Desde cuándo está enfermo Carlos?
18 años. A los 18 años.
Desde los 18, es
Sí.
decir, que tiene 8 años de enfermedad.
Ajá.
¿Qué es lo que más le ha llamado la atención de la enfermedad de él, los síntomas que más molestan?
Que es agresivo,
¿Qué más?
que se olvida las cosas y no quiere hacer nada.
¿Cómo se lleva con el resto de la familia?
Con nosotros es más que no se lleva, pero con los hermanos, con Ricardo, Stephanie, sí se lleva.
En cuanto al rendimiento académico, ¿no?
Sí, sí iba bien. En matemáticas y en inglés no se quedaba en nada.
Ahora quiero saber sobre la agresividad del paciente. ¿Qué tipo de agresividad es? ¿Cómo es la agresividad en casa? Cuéntenos.
La agresividad era bastante porque algo que no se le da. Él se enfurece y ya alza la mano. Y ya no quería salir, ya no quería irse con los amigos, no quería salir de la casa. Y desde ahí está en la casa.
¿Y usted lo vio hablando solo?
Solo sí.
¿Tiene acaso alucinaciones?
Ajá.
Muy bien.
Al principio que empezó oía voz.
A ver, Carlos, ¿qué fecha estamos hoy?
28.
¿Qué más? ¿De qué mes y de qué año?
Mayo. No.
¿Está seguro? Bueno, ¿de qué año y de qué
Sí,
mes?
mayo 2017.
Muy bien.
¿Qué es lo que más quisiera usted?
Que cambie todo el mundo.
A ver, explíquese qué es eso de que cambie todo el mundo.
Que dejen de decir mentiras.
Más alto.
Que dejen de decir mentiras.
Que dejen de decir mentiras.
Que piensen positivo siempre. que no engañen nunca a sus novios, novias,
Ya.
que no maltraten, que no hagan callar a la gente. Que no se quejen de las cosas que les van mal, que cuando se quejen busquen de todos los 1000 pensamientos uno que sea positivo y se queden con eso y ya no moleste. ¿Qué más? ¿Más cosas?
Ya. ¿Y eso es como resultado de qué? ¿Por qué piensa así? ¿Por qué piensa todo eso?
Porque en la escuela me hacían bullying,
¿Le hacían bullying?
sí.
Ya.
Y antes pensaba bien, pero mucha gente me dijo rumores.
¿Cómo son las voces que usted escuchaba?
Es que una vez leí en la Biblia una vez leí en la Biblia
Sí.
que los perros
Ajá.
dicen ¿qué estoy diciendo? Y cuando huyen es porque tienen hambre.
Ajá.
Entonces cuando un perro ladra es porque te aconseja. Y esa es, o sea, yo pensaba que me aconsejaba, que decía sí, no, ajá, sí, eso no, y eso sí, eso.
¿Cómo eran las voces?
Era un ladrito de perro que yo interpretaba con otra voz que...
Aquí estamos el 2 de junio 2017 con Carlos en la clínica panamericana a 72 horas de haber sido sometido a una electrocoagulación bilateral de médula adrenal. El objetivo de esta filmación es estrictamente conocer una revisión de la patología psiquiátrica en todos y cada uno de los sectores cognitivos. Carlos, quería preguntarte, en este día de hoy, a las 3 días de operado, ¿cómo te sientes?
Me siento livianado como que estoy flotando, algo así.
¿Ah?
Como que me desperté, pero sigo como que medio por las pastillas por medicación.
Por la medicación.
Mareado.
Ya. Pero entonces, como que te has despertado. ¿En
Sí.
qué sentido es eso de que te has despertado?
Veo las cosas más claras, como que veo más claro todo
Claro,
en
todo.
mis ojos.
Las ideas, ¿cómo están?
No son tantas como antes, tantas
¿Cuánto se ha
negativas.
reducido más de la mitad de esas ideas?
Sí,
Algo así,
Sí.
¿no? Muy bien.
no son tanto negativos, ahora más o menos
Ha
positivos.
cambiado a ideas más positivas, ¿no?
Sí.
Los miedos, ¿cómo están esos miedos?
También ya poco ya.
Quería preguntarte si puedes hablar algo sobre tu familia y lo que ha sucedido en todo este tiempo con tu familia. Quisiera que hagas un resumen de lo que pasaba ahí antes.
Es que antes era muy colérico, muy impaciente. No tenía como la capacidad de tolerar las cosas.
Ajá.
Ahí sí pensaba full cosas negativas.
Mira tú, ¿y cómo sabes que ahora no las piensas?
Porque ya no desconfío de ellos.
Y tú ofendías a tus padres antes bastante.
Sí,
¿Le vas a pedir disculpas a tu padre?
sí.
A ver, dile.
Discúlpame por todo, porque sí fue mi culpa todo. Yo me equivoqué.
Por otro lado, tú te contabas de un perro con el cual ladraba y tú interpretabas las cosas. ¿Qué te parece todo eso ahora?
Ya no escucho.
Ya no escuchas. Antes escuchabas.
Sí.
De tal manera que estás de mejor ánimo. Ya no hay ideas
Negativo.
negativas.
No.
¿Y cuál es tu proyecto de aquí cuando llegues a la casa?
Estudiar.
Estudiar o trabajar también, ¿no? Y puedes estudiar y trabajar.
Sí.
¿Te irías tal vez a la finca de tu padre a ayudarlo de vez en cuando?
Sí.
¿No tienes ningún temor ya de los vecinos?
No.
¿Qué pasaba con los vecinos? Cuéntame, que tú me hablaste de los vecinos,
Sí.
que eran enemigos tuyos, me dijiste. ¿Qué dices ahora?
Es que antes pensaba mal de todos, de todo el mundo. Por eso ahora pienso mejor.
I'll start off with the history of my sister. She was perfectly normal, lived a normal life. She was happily married. She has 2 kids. She was a bank teller. We're from Denver, Colorado. About 10 years ago, after she had her second kid, she started acting very different, very scared, paranoid, and would lock herself up in the bathroom. First, we didn't know what to think of it. We thought, because she possibly maybe had started using drugs that we don't know about. Possibly she had like a nervous breakdown. So we were just all guessing what was wrong with her. She would go through her phases where she would be normal for a couple of days, and then we thought that it'd be over, and then she'd go back into a trance to where we didn't know who she was. She would just freak out, start screaming, panicking. She didn't even know herself what was happening with her body or her mind. So it was very frustrating. This lasted about 2 years. We would take her to the hospital. She would say that she's normal, she's fine. So the doctors would just release her. Like I said, after about 2 years of her constantly going back and forth to the doctors, they finally diagnosed her with schizophrenia, personality disorders. At least we knew what was wrong with her, and we knew that might be, we could maybe find like a cure, or maybe we could go find like a good doctor that specializes in schizophrenia to help her. She was getting worse and worse. She completely stopped taking care of her kids. She neglected herself. We would have to take care of her every day, day and night, pretty much. She lost motivation for all life, and they would just give her prescriptions, and since one prescription wouldn't work, so they would add another prescription, from another prescription to another prescription, and she was taking 13 prescriptions at one time, another prescription to cover the symptoms of the other prescriptions. So it was really sad. She started gaining weight uncontrollably, and it was because of the pills. They said the doctors were just trying to control her. She'd be in and out of the hospital. 10 years later, she just didn't get any better. She was just so medicated that she didn't have any life, and she would just sit there in her room day and night pretty much, and we would just keep giving her prescriptions so we could at least keep her under control, and she was calm. And we heard of Mackliff, Dr. Mackliff, and we didn't really have that much faith. We didn't think it was possible because all the doctors in the United States, including doctors in Mexico, also were saying that there's no cure, and the only thing they can do is keep keeping her medicated just to keep her under control.
After I would hear voices, I would hear Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. I would see them. I couldn't have a normal conversation with my brother or with my family because I was always hearing voices. I couldn't sleep. It was day and night that I was hearing voices. Now I can sleep. I slept since the operation. I slept at night. I can sleep. I can finally sleep after 12 years. I'm glad that I came to Ecuador for the operation. I think the doctor and God that I'm good. I know my mom's gonna be really happy. She thinks I can move out with my kids and be a normal parent, be a good parent. Like I said, I thank God and the doctor. Because if I wouldn't came here, I don't think I would ever get cured. The doctors in the United States don't think there's a cure for schizophrenia. The doctors in Mexico don't think there's a cure for schizophrenia. I do believe that there's a cure for schizophrenia, and I'll recommend this to anyone who has schizophrenia. I have a couple of friends who have schizophrenia from the hospital. I want to tell them to come here so that way they can be cured. It's something wonderful.
Anabel, ¿podría decirme cómo ha sido la evolución del proceso suyo en que hablaba de las malas vibras, del cambio de los ojos de su hija y de los problemas con su padre y su madre? Cuéntame, ¿qué nomás ha pasado ahora?
Pues yo antes sentía como que recibía malas vibras de mi mamá y mi papá y de toda la gente. Ajá. Y estaba yo muy mala y físicamente me sentía muy acabada y muy enferma. Y el día después de que me operó este doctor, la caspa se me desapareció, ya no tenía caspa y las vibras ya las sentía muy aminoradas, se me bajó mucho ese sentimiento de que sentía como que me pasaban malas vibras a mí y a mi hija, y poco a poco se me fue bajando y quitando y hasta que ya tengo como 5 meses que ya no siento nada malo, nada feo. Ya me siento normal y sana, y ¿qué más puedo decir? Pues ya me siento bien.
Muy bien, cuénteme, ¿cuántos años tenía usted con este proceso esquizofrénico?
Como 5 años. Sí, pues ella decía que las medicinas que me prescribió usted no podían ir juntas, pero último sí me las dio.
Entonces, para usted, no solamente desaparecieron esas ideas, sino también que se le quitó la angustia, ¿no?
Sí.
Usted vivía angustiada.
Sí, muy nerviosa, muy como que algo malo iba a pasar, y ya me siento calmada, con paz.
Entonces la señora Egda, aquí estamos con la mamá. ¿Qué me dice usted? ¿Cómo está? ¿Y qué le parece pues su hija? Un concepto claro, sencillo para nosotros.
Pues yo estoy maravillada, doctor, y le doy gracias a Dios por haberlo puesto a usted en nuestro camino, porque gracias a la operación que usted le hizo, pues mi hija está muy mejorada. Ella miraba muchas cosas muy feas, monstruosas, que nosotros se nos hacía imposible que mi hija se fuera a curar. Entonces fue una maravilla su operación, gracias a usted, a mi Padre Dios también, principalmente a él, que mi hija ha sido una mujer normal ya.
If this film saves one child's life or averts one tragic outcome, I will be profoundly grateful. My story is your story, but your child's story is still unfolding. If your child has been diagnosed as having schizophrenia, or you're wondering if your loved one is schizophrenic, it is important to seek help immediately. Learn about Dr. Mackliff's research and the positive results from his beam surgery, a viable treatment option for schizophrenia that helps patients return to a constructive, happy life. Review Dr. Mackliff's case studies and hear the inspiring stories of his patients' recoveries and their improved quality of life. Dr. Mackliff's efforts have been primarily self-funded and fueled by his incredible devotion. He has pioneered and perfected the scientific method over 30 years with careful research and follow-up observation of his patients. If you choose this option, please understand that full recovery can take 1 to 3 years and needs family support with gradual reduction of antipsychotics. Consider contacting Dr. Mackliff in Ecuador for an evaluation. Act immediately. You do not have time to hesitate. This disease progresses rapidly. Begin exploring your child's options and don't let your child drift into isolation. I urge you to really listen to your child without hidden agendas and to be sensitive to your child's concerns and fears. Tell them over and over that you believe in them and love them unconditionally. They are in a dark passage with many challenges. May your efforts be guided by love and not fear.